Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that's still teaching this truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another lesson, and I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect. And Shalom to you Akwath, or you few sisters that believe as well. I want to do a lesson going in on this article that you see here on the screen. This is from the peoplesvoice.tv. All right, it's a good, reputable website that we, a lot of brothers, get a lot of information from concerning the New World Order that's being set up, via Esau Edom and this beast system, as well as just, information of, it's really just inside information. That's not on the mainstream media. You know what I'm saying? We go to a lot of these various different alternative news sites because, the mainstream media, as they'll they don't even give you the full truth. It's all really, controlled by Esau, you know what I'm saying? And he'll give you the information, the news that he wants to give you, and a lot of that stuff is misinformation, but the Spirit of the Lord, has worked and is working, I rather say, on the minds of particular individuals to bring out, particular information that is not necessarily on, the mainstream media. All right, and as you see here, you got a main individual by the name of, we call him Kill Gates, BG, Gil Bates. We call him Gil Bates sometimes as well too, but in regards to this, man, I might be able to squeeze through. Let's see. I think I can. So I can. 1 second. Okay, cool. But yeah, in regards to the prominent information that we always go into here at Great Millstone, beginning with the apostles, bishops, and elders on down, is the Motb and this digital infrastructure that's being set up by Esau Edom. Okay, because that's the next major thing that they want to do. All right, is mass microchip the whole world. Okay, that's the next major thing that they want to do. And you clearly see the infrastructure being set up right before your face, whether, particular other groups thinks it's a conspiracy theory, or whether they think that, we're conspiracy theory Israelites, as they call us. At the end of the day, all right, this system is being set up right before your eyes. And it's our job as watchmen, to sound the alarm on these things. As a matter of fact, before we read that, let's open up with a precept first. All right, let's open up with a scripture. Let's get Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter. All right, this is Ezekiel 33, verse 1. It says, "Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coasts and set him," let me read that again. It says, "Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman." All right, and what's the job of a watchman? The job of a watchman is to sound the alarm. All right, whether there's war coming on or there's the enemy, our job is to blow the trumpet. And if you blow an uncertain sound, how are the people going to know how to prepare themselves? The scripture says, "Make ye ready for the battle." But you have other Israelite camps that aren't, blowing the alarm, for lack of better words, or they're not sounding the alarm on this topic. They're dumb dogs that cannot bark, as the scriptures say, and they're going to have a lot of blood on their hands. The IUIC, beginning with Bishop Nathaniel, the ISUPK, beginning with General Yohana, on down, as well as all these other Israelite camps that aren't speaking the 100% truth. All right, and when I say the 100% truth, I'm talking about the 100% truth pertaining to everything, man. Okay, it says, "and set him for their watchman." Let's actually get the definition of watchman real quick here. All right, let's get the definition of watchman. All right, this word watchman in the Greek, in the Hebrew, is Tazapah. All right, like the elder Tazapah in Houston. All right, this is his name in the Hebrew. All right, it says to look out or about, spy, keep watch. Okay, it makes me think about Joshua and Caleb. Whenever they went into the land of Canaan, where they were to spy out the land of Canaan. All right, and what they did was, when they spied out the land of Canaan, they came back. They were the only ones, all right, that came back with a honest and good report. But everybody else that went with them, the rest of the 10 spies that went with them, all right, that came back with an evil report. And with that evil report, all right, what did it do? It caused other individuals to pretty much, it began for them to have disbelief and doubt. You know? And when you push a spirit of disbelief and a spirit of doubt upon the people, man, that's bad in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. Okay, the scripture says that he that doubteth is damned while he eat, man. Okay? So it's very, very important that you blow on the trumpet on the correct message, man. You gotta have the correct message, as it says in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, when you read it in the NLT. Okay. All right. Let's get this definition here. Once again, it says look out or about, spy or keep watch. Okay. And we got to make sure that we're on our watch constantly. You know, we got to be constantly at the gates. Constantly doing these lessons. You know, when we see this information, man, it's our job to warn the flock. And you got people on the comment board, or people, oh, here they go again, another Mark of the Beast video. Oh, you goddamn right. Okay, you damn right that we're gonna do another video on the Mark of the Beast, because this is the next major prophecy that's getting ready to come to pass, man. Okay, so once again, it says, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, it says, when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. You see, so you're to blow the trumpet and warn the people. And what does the scripture say? Isaiah 58:1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Israel their sins. Okay, so we are set up to be the trumpet of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. It says, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, right? You don't take heed. If the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. You see, so at the end of the day, you were warned. Matter of fact, what's the other scripture? Let me get this real quick. I'm gonna get to the article. Just bear with me. I'm gonna get to it. But there's a particular scripture that I want to grab. All right, Proverbs 24:14, I think it is, in the NLT. Nope, it ain't Proverbs 24:14. Proverbs 24:12. This is Proverbs 24, verse 12. It says, don't excuse yourself by saying, look, we didn't know. You see that? Don't excuse yourself by saying, look, we didn't know. You see, you're gonna have a lot of people that's gonna say in that time, well, we didn't know, you know. Well, we didn't know. They're gonna be trying to, they're gonna try to go into Great Millstone videos and trying to come out to where we at, but at that point, it's gonna be too late. You see? It says, for the Most High understands all hearts, and he sees you. See, he understands your mind. The Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, he ponders the thoughts. You see? It says, he who guards your soul knows you knew. You see? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua knows, Bishop Nathaniel knows what the Motb really is, but he's been paid off, which we believe in the spirit, to not teach what the Motb is. And it's not only just the Motb, man. It's everything pertaining to the whole role. The reason as to why we're harping on the Motb so much, because this is the next major prophecy that's going to shake up. This is going to shake up the whole world, really. You see? But you have particular individuals that's been paid off to not tell the truth. The scripture says that a gift destroyed the heart. It says he will repay all people as their actions deserve. You see that? You're going to reap what you sow. And again, man, to speak a lie against the truth and to not tell the 100% truth, and then to come back and say that, oh, we didn't know, I didn't know, man. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man, he's gonna stomp a mud hole in a lot of Israelites' asses, man. Those two fallouts, those bug outs from so-called Genesis, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua gonna destroy them dudes, man. You see? Verse 5, it says, he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning. His blood shall be upon him, but he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. You see that? But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, you see that? So if the watchman doesn't blow the trumpet, even though he sees danger coming, but he doesn't blow the trumpet, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. You see that? It makes me think of the scripture. I think it might be in Luke, the 12th chapter. All right, where it mentions how he that knew to do his master's will but didn't do it is going to be beaten with many stripes. As a matter of fact, it might be in a cross reference. Let's just see real quick. I'm just curious. Doesn't look like it is. Let me actually just grab that real quick. I quoted it, so let me go ahead and just grab that, and then I'll get to the article. Yep, Luke chapter 12, verse 47. It says, this is Yahushua speaking, and that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. See that? You're gonna be beaten with many stripes, man. You're gonna be whipped very, very harshly. You see? It says, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. So, you think, you put your hand to this plow, but you don't blow the trumpet, man, and you don't tell the 100% truth. It's going to be more that's going to be required of you in that day. Because we're all going to have to stand before the judgment seat, man. And you can't sit here and say that you didn't know. Because Yahweh Basham Shai has set up his watchmen, the prophets, to let you know, to warn you. You see? So once again, it says, Bill Gates unveils global digital enslavement blueprint. Your identity, bank account, and body must become one. And how are they going to ultimately do that? They're going to ultimately do that with the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. You getting a RFID microchip underneath your skin. That's what this is all boiling down to. This digital infrastructure being set up, as you know, this AI infrastructure, the 15-minute cities, the carbon footprint, your social credit score, AI is being implemented into everything. They got surveillance out the wazoo. This surveillance state that's being set up, cameras all over the damn place, kill switches in cars and surveillance in the cars, monitoring you. How you think they want to tie everything in? They're going to tie everything in with the microchip, man. You see, and Bill Gates is nothing more than just, the global elite spokesman. Just as Yahweh Basham Shai has his elites on the right-hand side, which are the elect, beginning with Yahweh Shai, and the men that the Lord has set up to preach, whether they're on the planet Earth right now or in the spirit world. All right, we are the elite, Lord willing, we have that number on the right-hand side, but there's, just as you have an elite on the left-hand side, they have their so-called prophets as well, too. They're technocrats, if you will. They're left-hand priesthood, and Bill Gates is nothing more than just a spokesman for the global elite, letting you know their plans. Okay? It says, speaking before an audience of world leaders and tech oligarchs, self-appointed global health czar Bill Gates, all right, openly called for the total fusion of biometric digital IDs. All right, now what does biometric mean? All right, Elder Apostle Tahar has gone into this word many of times. All right, but let's just get the definition. All right, for somebody that may not know. All right, what does biometric mean? All right, biometric. All right, biometric. It says involving the automated recognition of individuals, involving the automated recognition of individuals by means of unique physical characteristics, typically for the purposes of security. Just as you may have biometrics to get into a particular door or to have particular access, you may have to, have your fingerprint to scan, like on particular phones. You have your thumbprint. Like on my phone, for example, in order for my phone to be open or whatever, there's an option for you to, use your thumbprint to unlock your phone, or for you to get into a particular door. It may have to have a thumbprint, or it may have to have an eye scan, as they may call like an iris scan. It scans your pupil or your eye. Some things have voice recognition. And they show you these things in the movies and things of that nature. But this technology has been around for a while now. This is really old technology. Okay, it says relating to or involving the application of statistical analysis to biological data. It says a unique physical or behavioral, characteristics such as fingerprints, voice, typing speed, your metrics. Okay, even at particular jobs that they monitor you. They necessarily don't got to monitor you with a camera. They can monitor you by your keystrokes on your keyboard, or your mouse move, and how many words you're typing per minute. to see if you're actually working or not. How do I know? Because my job does it. You know, you get monitored based upon, you get monitored for the line of work that I'm in. You get monitored on, how busy, how many words you're typing per minute. How many clicks, is on your mouse, which is childish, but this is the world that we live in now. It says used in the automated recognition of individuals, typically for the purposes of security. You see how they keep throwing the word security, in there? So whenever you see biometrics, they're linking it to security. All right, he had two horns like a lamb. All right, but he spake as a dragon. Okay. So that's okay. So we got the definition: biometric digital IDs, personal bank accounts, payment systems, agricultural surveillance, right? And pretty much them surveilling the food, and centralized health records, framing it as essential progress for humanity's safety and health. See that? So they're using biometrics, digital IDs, personalized bank accounts, payment systems, agricultural surveillance for security and for health, as they're saying. But what does the scripture say? When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. All right, this is really Esau using the guise of peace and safety to ultimately bring forth more destruction with the sword, man. All right, this is Psalm 55. All right, verse 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. You see that? So even though he comes in the guise of wanting to bring forth security and safety and security for your health, you got to wear trackables and traceables, because that's what this guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., was saying a few months ago, as y'all remember. We have to have the wearables and, making sure people's heart rates, here it is. He threw as hell, man. Can't even understand what this guy be saying. Because he got something, like I think it's called like something worm. It's like a particular worm that you get from, pretty much eating bad foods like pork. It might be like a pork worm or brain worm or something along those lines. But I want to get that word smoother. All right, that word smoother, when you get it here in the Hebrew, is halak. All right, his words were smoother than butter. All right, and when you get that word smooth in the Hebrew, all right, it says be smooth, slippery. See, to be slippery, and that's how this devil comes, man. He comes with a slippery, smooth speech. He'll come with the suit and the tie, and come with the guise of using. We got to do this for security. We got to do this to make the world a better place. But here it is. They're telling you that. Here it is in the same guise. They'll sit here and tell you that now it's going to be a tax when you breathe it in the same tongue. Well, yeah, water has to, water is not water shouldn't be a right, but they'll say it in a way that sounds smooth, as if it's going to benefit the world. Bill Gates, years ago, when the whole thing that happened back in 2020 took place, this man came up in front of thousands, or hundreds or maybe thousands of people, and did a math equation on how he gonna kill your ass, man. So if we take away carbon and we we take away the carbon and we make it a smaller number, we gotta, he's pretty much telling you gotta take away, we gotta kill a lot of you niggas, pretty much what he's saying. We gotta kill you niggas to make the world a better place. Y'all remember what I'm talking about. It's a clip that they pretty much scrubbed off the internet now. You may be able to find it. I was just trying to do my Bill Gates voice, We gotta take away the carbon and make it a smaller number, so we have to depopulate the world, It says, smooth or deceptive. You see that on here? It says, i.e. deceptive. And this is why we call Esau the devil. Okay? To be a devil means to deceive. Okay? Even those words were smoother than butter, right? But war was in his heart. And that's what he comes to bring, man. When you read that in Revelation, the 6th chapter, Esau comes on a red horse to take away peace from the earth, and he's going to have a great sword in his hand. You see, it's no coincidence as to why, DJ Trump changed the name back, from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, man. That wasn't no coincidence. It was just letting you know. It was showing you. It's the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai showing you, who this devil is, man, and the type of time that he on. You see, it says his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see that? Yet were they drawn swords. And somebody like Bill, like I said, somebody like Gil Bates. If you're catching my drift, somebody like Gil Bates will come on the TV or come on the screen and just start talking shit. He'll just start talking shit, pretty much how he getting ready to kill a whole hell of a lot of people, and it'll just people start clapping as if he just said some philosophical words of wisdom. This is why we need Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai as our covering. That's why the scripture says, if the Lord, for lack of better words, there would be no flesh left to be saved if the Lord didn't return, man. Okay. It says Gates praised India's digital public infrastructure as the model the world must follow. And India is real big, man. Like you think China's big on it, which China is, but man, India, they whole digital infrastructure is already pretty much set up. Like India is ready. You see? And this energy crisis that's taking place, with the Strait of Hormuz being locked down, a lot of those Western Asian nations are struggling. India is one of them. So that could be this could be the perfect catalyst, which we've been saying, this war, which has already been set up by the global elite. They're the ones that are really pulling the strings. All right, to do the complete restructure and reset of the financial system, of the digital system. A lot of people don't know, but man, in the Strait of Hormuz, man, the Strait of Hormuz is really big on submarine internet cables, man. A lot of the internet transactions, tens of trillions of dollars pass through digitally over through the Strait of Hormuz, through the internet cables that are underneath, that are on the floor of the Strait of Hormuz, man. So it's really a war on energy, but it's also a war on digital control too, man. Look that up when you get the time about all the internet cables that are on the floor of the Strait of Hormuz, man. It says Gates praised India's digital public infrastructure as the model the world must follow, declaring it superior even to wealthy nations in its efficiency at tracking and controlling populations. You see, tracking is about tracking and controlling people, having their eye on everybody and controlling them. But what's the main catalyst that they're going to use in order to track, trace, and control people? It's going to be the RFID microchip, man. That's what it is, man. And they're moving fast with it, man. They ain't moving slow with this shit, man. They moving quickly with it. It says another place that India leads, but that all of you can be involved in driving forward is digital public infrastructure. Gates told the gathering, no country is more able to pay government benefits. You see, they're going to use the word benefits in there, right? No country is more able to pay government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively than India. Why? Because people are already locked into that digital ID, that digital infrastructure that's already set up. You would expect rich countries to do that, but in fact, they do not. So that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. All right, now let's listen to this real quick.
Another place that India leads, but there's a lot more that all of you can be involved in driving forward, is this digital public infrastructure. No country is more able to take government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively to their citizens than India. You would have expected rich countries or others to do that, but in fact, they did not. And so that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. And as part of this visit, I'm now seeing how that foundation is being built out in agriculture, with profiles of farmers to understand what they need and give them advice. Built out.
See that? So it's built in with agriculture, with farmers, with the, how much carbon, pretty much the emission of carbon how much food, you know, farm to fork. That's another thing, you know. As a matter of fact, real quick, let's see if I can do something real quick. Carbon footprint. Yep, Salakia. Let's see if anything pops up. Food production accounts for roughly 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions, spanning from agricultural production to consumption. Key contributors include land use changes, farming practices, and methane from livestock. Key strategies to reduce this footprint include selecting plant-based foods, sourcing local to reduce transportation emissions. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see if there's anything regarding the farm to fork that I can pull real quick. Because I'm limited on time, but you can look it up yourself. You know, just look up farm to fork. You know what I'm saying? Farm to fork, carbon footprint. You can find information on that. Like I said, I'm limited on my time. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue on this video.
Out with health records so that we can help people not only with infectious diseases, but the challenge that's coming in the future with the growth of the non-communicable diseases being a huge thing.
Non-communicable diseases. So they're mixing all this information, you know, with disease, agriculture. Sound very familiar, right?
And that digital public infrastructure will help us with these climate problems. I was in Odisha yesterday, and what they showed is that they've registered the farmers and registered what type of crops they grow and what land they own. They literally have a control center. You know, when you walk in, you think, wow, this is agriculture, but you know, you've got a command center and maps and people doing queries and sending out messages. And so that all starts, you know, with an Aadhaar identity, listing those farmers, getting the information, making sure it's up to date. Another place that
So
India
how do you
leads.
think they're gonna ultimately tie everything in? They're gonna do it with the chip. You see, it says he continued, describing with visible satisfaction how this foundation, quote unquote, of total digital slavery is already expanding into every corner of human life. You know, it's kind of going into what he was saying there. It says translation for those still clinging to freedom, right? It says every citizen will be reduced to a single trackable data node, which is going to be ultimately the chip. Your biometric ID, your money, your purchases, your medical history, your farm output, your diet, your movement, and your carbon footprint, all merged into one unbreakable ledger controlled by governments and their private partners. You see, and whenever something is tokenized, like you have tokenization, you know, when I say tokenization, I'm talking about tokenized or tokenized based payments. Whether it's, you know, like for example, you know, you have your card on your phone, and then you tap your phone to an NFC scanner, a near field communication scanner, or, you know, that's a tokenized based payment, because you're not actually using your physical card in hand, but your digital card or your tokenized ID that you may have. Because every card that you have, you know, every card that you have with your 16-digit card number on it, that's inputted within your digital wallet on your phone has a Visa or MasterCard tokenized ID assigned to that card. So it's another 16-digit card number, but it's not actually your 16-digit card number. It's your tokenized card number that switches on every single transaction that you do. You know, and that's the only easiest way I can really explain it. The reason why I know is because that's the line of work that I'm in. You know, so every tokenized or digitalized transaction that you do, it's all track and trace, and it's with the digital ID. It's with the tokenized ID. So as tokenized transactions are being done, and they want every transaction to be tokenized, the ones that are behind the scenes, right, that are pulling the strings and are controlling that tokenized ledger, they can change the rules any given time. So if you don't comply to what they got going on, if you don't get a particular shot, or you may have eaten too much beef or whatever the case may be. Now you can't buy it no more, because now this digitalized transaction base, this tokenized digital ledger that you own, it's already in the system. You see? And your carbon footprint is saying, okay, well, you know, this person ate X amount of pounds of, you know, beef this month, so now you can't get no more. And now you try to swipe your card, you can't even swipe your card. Now you try to make a payment, you can't do it because you're over your limit, or you're red flagged in the system. So now you can't even make no purchases. But the main way that they can do that is with a chip underneath your skin. That's why they're trying to do away with cash. That's why they're going to do away with hard, like physical so-called cash, you know? Critics were quick to label the speech the most explicit endorsement yet of a global technocratic panopticon. Man, that's, what kind of word is that? I ain't seen that word before. Salaki, I ain't seen this one. Panopticon. A circular prison with cells arranged around a central well from which prisoners could at all times be observed. Pretty much, okay, so you're pretty much being watched at all times. Under the guise of helping farmers, you see helping farmers and fighting non-communicable diseases and climate problems, the system Gates champions would give authorities and corporations real-time visibility into what you buy, what you eat, where you go, and whether your body is compliant with whatever metrics they declare healthy or sustainable that week. Once your biometric digital ID is linked to your bank account and payment systems, refusal to comply, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. He causeth all. It's a key word, causeth all. The digital ID is not the mark of the beast. Okay? It's a lead up to it. It's all a lead up to it. Whether by skipping a mandated V, as I just said, exceeding your personal carbon allowance, like I just mentioned, or failing to update your health records, could mean instant financial suffocation. He's going to squeeze everybody into this new system. No payments, no benefits, no access. And if you don't worship if you don't worship the image of the beast, that he might be killed, as the scripture says. This is not speculation. This is the logical endpoint of the foundational structure Gates celebrated. One digital ID to rule them all. Your body becomes property of the public health database. Your money becomes a permissioned privilege. Your farm, if you still have one, becomes a node in the central planning algorithm. Okay? So this is the world that we're coming to, man, and it's clear as day. And all these different Israelite camps that ain't speaking on it, man, you're going to have a lot of blood on your hands, man. All right, so I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect. Once again, I want to say, call hello, Yahweh, Bashem, Al-Shah, Bashem, Al-Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone, who taught us his truth, and that's still teaching his truth. Much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time, I say shalom.